Greetings, YouTube. So tell me, what can't you say anymore? And by that, what I mean is, what things has society decided, since you've been aware that society makes those kind of decisions, that is now considered socially unacceptable to say? I mean, when I was growing up, and I apologize for the use of the following terms because they are offensive and they are considered a slur by many people, myself included. When I was growing up, retard was a common term. And we weren't necessarily talking specifically about people that may have been, dealing with some kind of mental neurological issue. They may be they're not neurotypical. We were talking about just someone that was acting in a stupid behavior, but that's worse. Because you're not even saying that person is suffering from a is non-neurotypical. You're saying that anyone that's acting stupid is it's ugly, is a reason that is considered a slur, and we shouldn't be using it. I can remember in one of the crime CSI might have been, where somebody killed a person that they had repeatedly called retarded. I believe the character had Down syndrome. Maybe the actor had Down syndrome, and the person, they were a murder victim. It was like, why do you care if I killed a retard, essentially? And the main character looked at him and said, do you know what the word retard means? It means to limit. I think your life is about to become retarded. Because they were taken away in cuffs on murder charges, and they had enough evidence to send them away for the next 20 years of their life. So yes, that would be a significant retardation of your freedoms. But there's all kinds of terms that I heard constantly when I was growing up. Racial terms, racial slurs, ethnic slurs, religious slurs against Jewish people, against the perception that all Muslims were turbans, and of course that's not true. All Sikh wear turbans, all men wear turbans, but we weren't talking about them. And all the people I knew saying those terms probably couldn't have been able to tell you the difference between someone that is a practicing Muslim and someone that is practicing Sikhism. They could not have told you that. And I could not have told the difference of that when I was younger, because I was not as aware as I am as I got older. I figured that out pretty young, though. I was in my teens when I finally figured out, hey, those are different people, because when I was growing up, there weren't any people around me practicing those religions. I grew up in an incredibly white, generic Christian community. My family, my mother was Catholic, and my father was a lapsed Methodist at best. He was the kind of guy that goes to church on Christmas and Easter. But there's all kinds of things that are now considered socially unacceptable. But those of us that aren't bigots, those of us that try to be allies to everyone around us, to try to be decent human beings, to not be jerks, don't complain about it. I don't feel I've lost anything because I can't use the word retard. Nope. If somebody's being a dumbass, I'll just call him a dumbass. Actually, my favorite term is numpty. I got that from the British. I don't have any loss in my life. I've not lost anything by not using racial slurs or ethnic slurs or religious slurs. Nothing. I feel no limitation on my person or my language or my ability to express myself. There's more than 1 million words in the English language. Pick better ones. But some people do feel they've been limited. They feel that their speech has been curtailed because they really want to use those terms because they aren't nice people, because they're bigots. And the worst thing in the world you can do to a bigot, at least in the opinion of the bigot, is to call them a bigot. For them, that's the worst possible conceivable thing. That's worse than imprisonment or death. Both things which happen at much more disproportionate rates to the non-white communities in America, of course. And everyone I've ever really spoken to or heard about that felt that their speech was being curtailed because you can't say that anymore was a white person. Mostly a white dude, but sometimes white women. And the reality is the society is now telling you, stop being an asshole. If you want to use those horrible, offensive terms inside your head, we can't stop you. Have at it. But don't say them out loud. And in particular, don't say them at or around the people they are aimed at. They were designed to target. No, don't do that. I got some pushback once because I complained about a knife out there because it was called a coon knife. Now the reality is that it was referring to hunting raccoons, trash pandas. But that word also has a long history as a racial slur in America. And there isn't any real way to separate that. You use that word, and it has two meanings. So how about we just not use that term? Can't come up with a different name for a knife? You can't call the animal a raccoon or a trash panda? Is that so hard? Do you feel limited by the fact that society says that you shouldn't use the word coon? I don't. Why do you? Is your vocabulary that slim? Sorry, maybe you should read more. It would help you in many ways. So, whenever I hear somebody complain about the fact that they feel they're being limited in their speech, that they're being told, well, I can't say that anymore, it's because they really want to be an offensive asshole. And they don't want to be called on it. They don't want people to point at them and go, hey, you know, you're acting like a bigot. Because for them, that's the worst thing in the world. They consider being called a bigot when you are being a bigot worse than being a bigot, which is a level of mental gymnastics that is astounding. If there was an Olympic for mental gymnastics, these people would win the gold every single time. But that's what happens. They feel deeply offended that you have dared imply that the person using a bigoted slur is in fact a bigot. I wonder why we think you might be a bigot if you're using slurs. Can you not put those two together? Is that so hard for you? So yeah. The rest of us who have an ability to understand and learn and change our way of thinking and read and have a vocabulary that has more than like 1,000 words in it, as many words as Coco the gorilla knew, we are more than capable of communicating without using all those slurs. We do it every day. But one of the words that we are using more and more, because we're willing to call you on it, is bigot.